So the next important feature we have to understand is the post processing of additive manufacturing parts. So post processing means after the component is manufactured inside the machine, whether it is ready to be used. Most of the times it is not ready to be used. There will be some kind of activity involved with the component. So all the activities that are involved, we can combinedly call them as post processing of additive manufactured parts. If you take the example of casting, after you make the casting, you may have to remove the gates, you may have to remove the vents, you may have to perform some grinding operations. So those things can be considered as post processing in case of castings. Similarly, in case of additive manufactured parts, there will be some post processing activities. So the first one is the removal of support material or support material removal. We know that all the additive manufacturing processes require some kind of supports. In some of the methods, whatever the raw material is there, that itself will act like the support, and if you are separating the part and the raw material, whatever the material is there, that you can reuse. In some cases you may not be, it is not possible to reuse the support material again. So we will see in detail now. Removal of natural supports. Natural supports means whatever raw material you are using, the support will be in the same form. It is not going to change its characteristics, it will remain as it is. So that is mainly possible in discrete particle system, where the loose powder which is present surrounding the object, you just have to use a wire brush or maybe some compressed air to blow away the sticking particles, and the component can be taken out for further processing. That is a natural support. So whatever raw material is there, it is be present in the same fashion, it is not going to change its characteristics. Next one is removal of synthetic supports. Synthetic supports means you are designing the supports in the way you want depending on the component, and this material cannot be reused as it is because you have heated it and you have changed its characteristics. So if you see this figure, a person is standing here, he has got an arm which is extended out. If you are trying to create this component as it is, the hand will simply fall down, it is not possible to create. So below that hand you are having the support structure. So the support structure and the main part that was required is made up of the same material. So that is what we say, supports made from part build material. So again in this case also you can see he is using some tools and he is trying to remove the support structures. So even in this case it is the same thing. So support structures are made using the part build material, or in the two cases you can see here, this one and this one, the color difference is there, which means they are made up of different materials. So supports made from different material. So usually whenever you are making the supports from different material, you will ensure that the support material is very weak. It is very easy to break it or separate it from the workpiece, or it is soluble in water or some other solvent. So you just have to dip the component, the support material will dissolve, and you can take out the component for usage. So it becomes very simple. So one way or the other you have to separate the component and the supporting structure so that you can use the required part that you have manufactured using additive manufacturing processes. So each and every process requires some kind of supporting structures, and it is required to separate them from the workpiece. Next one is surface texture improvement. So whatever additive manufactured component you are creating it layer by layer. So at the boundary all the layers may not be very uniform, there may be some kind of unevenness. You can see here whatever lines you are seeing, that is because each line represents one layer. So because you can see layers separately, so you will not have a very smooth surface. You can see this is the discrete particle system. At the boundary you can see some roughness. It is because some particles are not completely fused together, so you are having half fused particles that will create some kind of roughness. So if you want a very smooth surface, then you have to do some kind of processing. So that is a surface texture improvements. So the different methods available are wet sanding, dry sanding. So in wet sanding you are using some abrasive particles along with some liquid medium and you are trying to make it smooth. Dry sanding you are only using abrasive particles, maybe like a sandpaper or something, and you are trying to polish the surface or you are going to remove the unevenness. Next one is sand blasting and bead blasting. So whenever we say blasting, you are using some pneumatic or compressed air. You are mixing either sand particles for sand blasting and some glass beads or some low strength metallic beads in the compressed air, and you are forcing it towards the object. So whenever you are blasting, you are using higher forces. So these sand particles or glass beads are going to hit the workpiece surface and make them very smooth. So mostly wet sanding and dry sanding are used for plastic components. Sand blasting and bead blasting are used mainly for the metallic components. This wet sanding, dry sanding can be performed also on metallic components for very high finish. And sand blasting and bead blasting are mostly done for the metallic components because the sand particles can very quickly erode the plastic components. Next one is the tumbling. In the tumbling process, what we are doing is there will be a very large drum. Inside the drum you are having the abrasive particles or abrasive pieces, and you are putting your component inside, and the drum is rotated at a slow speed so that as the components are rolling inside the drum or rubbing against each other, all the uneven surfaces are going to be chipped away, and at the end you are going to get a very smooth component. The next method is abrasive flow machining. So if you are having some valve components and you are having some complicated passages which you cannot have access directly, then abrasive flow machining is there. In this process you are mixing the abrasive particles in a liquid medium and you are connecting the given workpiece to pipes which are carrying the abrasive particles. So if you are taking this particular valve component, only one half is shown. Actually it will be a full one. It will be a completely closed pipe with one opening, second opening and the third opening. So what happens is, this we are considering this as the inlet. So abrasive particles are coming over here and it is going to flow. This end will be closed and the abrasive particles are going to flow out. So you are allowing the flow to happen for a significant amount of time. So the abrasive particles which are present in the liquid medium are slowly going to erode the unevenness and make it very smooth surface. You can see the shiny surface over here. That is the improved surface finish. The same is the case in this one also. You can see the rough surface which is very dark. You can see the shiny surface because surface finish is improved or surface texture is improved. So the next method is painting. It is one of the simplest things. If you want to improve the surface, you take a thick coat of paint and apply the paint uniformly on the surface. You are going to get a very smooth surface of the part. So that is the surface texture improvement, the post-processing activity. Next one is the aesthetic improvement. If you are not satisfied with just sanding and polishing, you can do further treatments. You can do coloring or sealing of the pores. Coloring means you can apply the required color of the paint you want to make it look beautiful, or you can do the sealing of the pores. Sealing of the pores means the components you are manufacturing using discrete particle system are generally having lot of gaps between the particles if they are not properly fused together. It is especially in binder jetting and selective laser sintering. So if you are directly trying to apply paint, because of the pores present over there, the paint will be absorbed into the component because of capillary action, and you will be having a surface with lot of holes. If I have to give an example, it will appear like the masala dosa or a dosa with lot of holes which are present. Same will be the surface. If you want to avoid that, then you have to do the sealing of the pore, wherein you are taking the component and you are dipping it some kind of sealing agent. Usually it will be a polymer. So this polymer is going to fill up the surface pores, and after that if you are doing the painting, the paint will remain more evenly on the surface. It will not enter inside the component, so you are going to get a very good surface finish. The next one is the painting. You can apply different kinds of paints to improve the surface finish as needed. You can see the figure here. So this is the initial component, and this is after the applying the paint after sealing. So first it is sealed, and then you are applying the paint of required color. Next one is the chrome plating. You can apply the chrome plating to the given components to improve its visual look and appearance, and also give it a corrosive resistance. Corrosion resistance is achieved by the application of chrome plating to the components. So the next one is preparation for use as patterns. So here we can mainly talk about the investment castings. We can also talk about the regular conventional patterns which are used in the sand casting processes, or you can also talk about the dies which are used in the injection molding or the compression molding. So anything can be possible. So if you are talking about the investment casting process, it is investment casting processes is also called as lost whack process or lost foam process. Basically works on all the same principle. You are having the workpiece, you are having the pattern. The pattern is coated with several types of slurries to create a thick shell. Then the shell is heated to high temperature. Whatever the wax or foam is there, it is going to melt and it is going to come out of the investment shell. Then you are filling the investment shell with the metal, and after allowing it to cool, you are taking out the casting. You are going to get very high surface finish, and very good detail is present on the part that you are trying to create. So if you want to use additive manufactured parts for doing the investment casting, then you have to print the patterns. So you can use many techniques. So whatever material we are selecting, that becomes very important. You can use wax materials for creating the pattern straight away. Then as you increase the temperature of the shell by heating it, the wax will melt and come out. If you are using some polymer, the polymer should be such that it should not leave a lot of residue, and it should burn away very fast even at a moderate temperature, so that it is not leaving any unwanted soot or residues inside the investment, because of which there is a possibility of getting defects. So that material choice selection is very important for the patterns to be used in investment casting. Or you can use it as a die to make more components. So here you are having two halves of the die. So you can close them and you can inject the required plastic material, and after allowing it to cool, you can take out the component and you are having the workpiece. So you can create any number of parts as needed. So in this case, these dies are created by using additive manufacturing process. The same is the case here. You are having two halves of the die which are created using additive manufacturing process. It can be mainly used for creating more plastic components, because if you are having the die, if you are using metal, then it is going to burn away. Metallic dies are not very much preferred. For simple dies, you can use the additive manufacture, or for prototyping purposes you can go, but mostly it is used for plastic components. So patterns made of additive manufacturing process are also used in sand casting process, because they are giving relatively good surface finish. You can straight away use the patterns which are printed by using additive manufacturing process to make the required casting. So you can make core boxes, you can make patterns. All these things are possible by using the additive manufacturing process. So another post-processing activity is improving the property, usually the strength of the component. So it can be done in two ways: by using non-thermal techniques. Other one is by using thermal techniques. Whenever we say non-thermal techniques, it means we are not using a lot of heat. Whenever we say thermal techniques, we are using a lot of heat energy. So in normal thermal techniques, the first one is the infiltration. Infiltration means filling the gaps which are present in the workpiece by using some other material, so that the strength of the workpiece is going to increase. If mostly this is applicable for the components created by using the binder jetting, or the components created using the selective laser sintering. That is mainly for those applications. So you are having the component, it will be having lot of pores present inside. So what you are doing is you are going to fill up the pores with a secondary material. So that material will be melted in a tank. Whatever workpiece you are having, you are taking it and you are immersing the workpiece into the tank which is containing the liquid or molten metal. You are allowing it for some time. Because of the capillary action, the pores are going to be filled up. The pores are going to be filled up with the secondary material and its strength is going to increase. So that is the infiltration. Also infiltration can be done at higher temperature. We can see here high temperature infiltration. This is done in some materials where the pores are not sufficiently large and the material cannot enter into it because of capillary action. In that case, you are heating both the workpiece to a very high temperature and also the metal which you want to infiltrate. So when the workpiece is reached a significantly high temperature, then you are dipping it and allowing the material to enter into the workpiece, and after you allow it to cool, the material will continue to remain over there, and its strength has also increased. So if we go for the other non-thermal techniques, curing by UV radiation. So if you are having parts which are made using photopolymers, mainly in the liquid polymer system or the material jetting system, then during the additive manufacturing the entire polymer is not completely cured. So in order to increase the strength, you can take the component, put it inside a chamber and you are irradiating with UV light. So because of the UV light present, slowly the polymerization completes and the strength of the component is going to increase. Now if the next one is a low temperature curing for photopolymers. If the component is very thick and if the UV light cannot reach all the surfaces of the component, then we will use low temperature curing, so that you are slowly heating the workpiece in a closed environment to a very moderate temperature, maybe 70 or 80 degrees centigrade, so that at this temperature, even without the presence of any UV light, because of the heat energy, the polymerization will complete and the strength of the workpiece is going to increase. So these are the three main non-thermal techniques which are used to improve the strength of additive manufactured parts. So the thermal techniques are, the first one is heat treatment. If you are using metallic parts, if you are using metal as raw material, maybe in the form of a powder, then whatever components you are creating, you can increase their strength by giving appropriate heat treatment procedures. So there are specific heat treatments for different materials. You have to implement them. Also you can do stress relieving cycles for different materials, because whenever you are melting the metal powders to create the component, lot of temperature gradients are created, because of which there will be lot of stresses in the material. If they are not relieved or if the cooling doesn't take place properly, the microstructure will be different and there will be lot of stresses in the material which may lead to unwanted cracks. So in order to avoid all these things, we can also perform stress relieving cycles to relieve the stress and improve its properties. The other one is high temperature infiltration. The infiltration process basically is carried out at high temperature, heating the workpiece and also heating the material which we want to infiltrate into the workpiece. Next one is hot isostatic pressing. So usually the components produced by additive manufacturing processes will be having very low density. If we take the mainly the example of metallic parts created by using the discrete particles or using the powders, they will be having lot of porosity. So one of the methods of improving their properties is by doing the sintering. So that is the hot isostatic pressing. So whatever the component we are having, we will take it, we will put it in a inert environment, and then we are increasing the pressure of the container so that the workpiece is simultaneously squeezed from all the sides. So as we are increasing the pressure, the workpiece is squeezed. So when we squeeze the workpiece from all the sides, the pores are going to close together, then Simultaneously, we are also increasing the temperature of the chamber. So because of the combined effect of high temperature and high pressure, the particles are come closer, and because of the high temperature they are going to melt and they are going to fuse together, creating a very dense component and also a very high strength component. So if you are not doing this, whatever the component is created, it will not be having sufficient strength. So to improve its properties, we are doing the hot isostatic pressing. So in this case, both high pressure and high temperature are acting simultaneously to compress the component from all sides uniformly and also increase the temperature to ensure that the particles are fusing together or the layers are joining together, leading to increase in strength of the component. So that is about the important post-processing activities that are done on additive manufactured parts for their specific applications in some cases.